I'm Chris from Poseidon, going to do a product review comparison video on these three wings I've got with me here. That's the Ozone Flux, the Armstrong XPS and the F1 Strike. Getting a lot of interest in these three wings. People wondering which one's for them. Because on paper, they're three very similar wings. They're the high-end offering from these brands. But in a practical sense, they do feel a bit different. One might suit one person more than another. So we've done separate review videos for each of these. But here we're going to look at a comparison between them as individuals. So how well they travel through points of the sail, how stable and balanced they feel, how well they wave ride. Three sort of considerations which we're going to look at here, and then different attributes through that. So we're going to start off by having a look at how easy it is to find the power in these wings, which effectively how easy is it to get up and going. We've got three wings here. I'd say the first one to pick up would be the F1 Strike, which is probably the easiest to find its power. They're using a high stiffness material on the leading edge at the front here, and they've got this big load diffuser, they call it, at the trailing edge. They've got a very full belly in this wing, which has all of its power fairly back towards the trailing edge, which means that you can feel that energy in your back arm. It means it's really easy to get going. By pulling on that backhand, you can find it very, very easy. And it makes it a real dream when you're riding underpowered, because you can really find the energy quickly and pump the power into it, even with a fairly poor technique, just off that back arm when you're getting going. In terms of the most powerful per size, I'd say with the Flux here, because of its lightweight, high stiffness material and the full belly which they've given this wing, although at first when you feel it, it doesn't feel like there's as much power per size, as soon as you've created a bit of motion, the apparent wind that this creates, very much off the front of the wing near the leading edge, it just charges really, really fast and creates a lot of power per size. So whereas on a dead start, you might get a little bit more power out of the Strike, in its top end, when you're up to speed or when you're more powered up, the Flux really takes the lead on that just there. The Armstrong is probably the least powerful of them all. We'll come back into where it's obvious that they've focused the wing. It's really easy to find the power pocket. It's very much balanced right in the center of the wing. To compare it with previous generations from last year, it's for sure more powerful than other wings. But to compare the three together, I'd say the Strike is the easiest to find the power pocket. The Flux for sure is the most powerful per size, and the Armstrong a really balanced power. So now we're going to have a look at the points of sail. So what we're talking about here is, as we're riding along, we're going upwind, we're going downwind, how well that wing changes angles, how well it drifts through a jibe, and how well it pushes through the wind through attack. So again, three relatively similar, but at the same time different feeling wings. The Flux and the Armstrong's got a fairly similar feel in how well it changes point of sail. The one that's slightly different is going to be the Strike. The Strike, where it's got all of its power sitting quite far back in the wing, means that this wing likes to sit a little bit more grunty when you're riding along, which means as you've gone from going upwind to going downwind, it really transfers down really, really well, meaning that if, let's say, you're bearing off onto a wave, it's really going to help you by making it easy to do that. With, however, all of its power in the back of the wing, it does have a small compromise that in comparison to the other two wings, it doesn't go upwind quite so easily. It starts to flutter a little on the leading edge as this belly starts to flatten out. So for sure, this one drifts off really, really well. But if you're looking for upwind performance, then you're probably going to be looking at one of these two wings here, which is the Flux or the Armstrong. The Armstrong is very, very well balanced. So it will drift off downwind very well. It presents itself really well through a jibe. Equally as well, it pushes through the wind, flattens itself, and helps you push through your tacks. But possibly the winner in terms of points of sail is the Flux. And again, possibly down to its rigidity and its relatively flattenable profile, which is in here, as you push through the wind, it slices through it, really charges up wind. And then as you come out of a tack, let's say, both of them are very easy to find that pocket afterwards, but the flux with its stiffness and its full belly means you just a little tug and you're straight there out of it. So 3 very, very good wings. I'd say for downwind drift, your F1 strike is always a winner, bearing off downwind, as is the overall balanced feeling of the XPS. For versatility and upwind charging, the Flux, probably because it's been driven by Johnny Heineken, that racing performance is going to win all day long. So now we're going to look at how well these wings feel balanced. And there's 2 sorts of balance to me. There's how balanced the wing feels when we're sheeted in, when we're blasting along and we're wanting power out of that wing. But then there's how well that wing is balanced as we're taking that front hand and we're flattening it off. 2 different sorts of things, which quite often wings might excel in one, but they might not do quite so well in the other. These 3 wings are amazing at all of those things, so both of those things. If we had to compare either of these wings to any of the wings in previous generations, these excel, and you wouldn't be disappointed in the sheeted in balance or the luffed out balance in either of them. But for sure, there's pros and cons. So if we're looking at the strike, what the strike's got here is in its fairly full belly, they've put all of that power quite far back on the wing. Very, very easy to find that power. There's a bit of weight at the trailing edge and there's a bit of weight on those big, wide, powerful wingtips. Now, what that means is when we're first getting up and going, if we don't have a lot of speed, the wing at first feels a little bit heavy. It means we've got to adjust our technique a little bit to hold it up. Easy to find the power, but we definitely need to think about its balance. Once you're then up to speed, this will then almost sit itself in the position where you want it. It's got this amazing balance so long as you're going fast, where it almost drops down into a really powerful position to make it easy to charge yourself along, which as well lends itself as we take hold of the flagging handle at the front here. That weight at the back of the wing means that it will automatically drop down. It really finds its position behind you very well, very easy, and has this balanced feel where it sits down and it just falls out the back of you, which is very, very good. So long as we've got some speed, this wing does a lot of the job for you, which is the strike. The Ozone, the Flux, this wing, very, very light. It's a very, very light feel. It's very, very nimble in how it flies. And as we said, this wing flies forwards very, very fast. So what this means is when we're flying along, it feels so well balanced. We've got a lot of power driving through our front arm, which we can use that to charge up wind. And it means as we're going along, we've got a really comfortable feeling, which we can spill power and we can pull power as much as we like. It feels incredibly well balanced when we're up and we're going, whether we're underpowered or we're at its absolute top end limit. This just doesn't falter. It's incredible in all of its range. As we transfer through to the front handle, it carries that on. It feels really comfortable. You can feel that they've focused this wing on its high speed, on its racing. So as soon as we jump hold of the front hand here, it might not fall back quite as easy as some of the other wings there, but so long as we've got it behind us and so long as we're carrying momentum, it's still a very, very balanced wing which wants to fall behind. And where this might excel is after dropping it back, gliding along, as soon as you pick it back up, we're straight back into that sheeted in balance, which allows you to pull out of a wave very, very easy with this one here, or with that front hand energy. Possibly the excelling wing when it comes to balance would be the XPS, and that's really obvious when you first pick it up. They're using standard Dacron and ripstop materials, but they've created an incredibly balanced wing where the power's right in the middle here, and it's really well positioned so that whether you're sheeted in or whether you're holding on the front, it just goes wherever you want it to go. Sometimes it might make you feel like it's a more advanced wing, because whereas this wing here will put itself in the right position, the strike, and the Flux is very easy to pull back and sheet in, again, making it feel very easy. And when you get on the Armstrong, it's so easy to maneuver it around. It feels like you need to put it in the right place. but actually then you quickly realize that it doesn't matter where it goes. It's so well balanced as you're wave riding or as you're maneuvering, you can push this wing to where you want and it just glides itself around in the sky. And as you're flying it, as you're sheeted in, you can just fly it higher, you can fly it lower, deeper or more ahead of you. And it's the most balanced wing for sure on the market at the moment. So to summarize, we've got 3 amazing wings which do just about every riding style amazing. They're not going to disappoint you, and whichever one you chose to go for, it's going to do every sort of riding style at whatever your level. It would be hard to point anybody in a specific direction of one being better than the other, because they're all going to do everything really well. But to try and advise which one might be better at which, if you're looking for high speed and you're looking for something with the widest wind range, which goes upwind the best, which feels stiff, which feels comfortable, whether you're maxed out or underpowered, which is going to help with your tacks and your jibes and feel sturdy, the Flux for sure is a leader in that stiffness, in that energy, in how powerful it is in all points of the sail. If you're looking for something which is very, very versatile, which is going to do all sorts of riding styles, but do a lot of the work for you, then the Strike, which has been a market leader for years, and it's now a refined model in its 3rd generation. It just does all of the work for you. It feels sturdy, it feels tight in your hands, and it feels like it's going to age really well as a wing that will take you through all sorts of riding styles and do most of it for you. And if you're looking for something which is really versatile, really playful, and something that you want to take into all sorts of riding styles and really put a smile on your face wherever you are, then that's the Armstrong XPS. So speed, ease and balance is kind of how I'd sum up the 3 wings, but neither is going to be disappointing.